I never thought a plastic flamingo would be the reason half of Oak Ridge Meadows lost power on the hottest day of summer. I figured a storm would do it someday, or a bad transformer, or one of those reckless Texas squirrels that treats power lines like playground equipment. But no, it was one faded flamingo, one HOA president with a clipboard, and one woman who believed the neighborhood existed only because she personally allowed it. My name is Marcus Hayes. Back then, I was the quiet guy on Maple Ridge Court, the one who fixed old trucks, waved without starting conversations, and paid my dues because I wanted peace. After my divorce, peace was all I wanted. A small house, a porch, coffee, and no one telling me what color my life was supposed to be. Then there was Brenda Carmichael. Brenda had silver hair that never moved, a golf cart with an amber light, and a voice that made every sentence sound like a court order. She came for my trash cans first, then my mailbox numbers, then my porch light because it was aggressively warm. But the war started with the flamingo. It was one sun-faded pink plastic flamingo my daughter Chloe gave me before she left for college. Chloe said, "Dad, you need something dumb in your yard so people know you're still alive." After she left, that stupid bird meant something to me. Brenda hated it like it had insulted her ancestors. That Saturday morning, I was under the hood of my pickup when her golf cart whined to a stop behind me. I did not even look up. "Please tell me you're delivering tacos," I said. "Mr. Hayes," she said, "your decorative bird violates Section 9, Article 4. I stood up slowly. Decorative bird. Unauthorized wildlife display. It's plastic, Brenda. It doesn't migrate. It doesn't vote. It doesn't bother anybody. It bothers the appearance of the community." I looked around at the identical beige houses, the identical mailboxes, the lawns baking in the sun. Maybe the community could survive one bird. Her smile tightened. "That attitude is exactly the problem." Then she stepped closer. "Men like you always think rules are for other people. If you tinker, you make messes, and everyone else has to clean up after you." I felt that one in my chest. She knew nothing about me. She did not know I had spent 22 years flying utility patrols after hurricanes, checking broken transmission lines, hauling crews past washed-out roads. To her, I was just a divorced guy with grease on his shirt. I said, "You don't know what kind of man I am." She said, "I know enough." Then she climbed into her golf cart and drove toward the south end of the neighborhood, where the utility service yard sat behind a chain-link fence. At first, I thought she was just leaving dramatically, because Brenda did everything dramatically. But then I saw her stop at the service gate. She pulled something from her pocket and started working the lock. My stomach dropped. I started walking, then jogging. "Brenda, don't go in there." She looked back through the fence. "This is community infrastructure. It is utility property. It sits in our community. It can kill you." She ignored me, marched past the warning signs, and opened the gray control cabinet. I saw her hand move. Then the whole neighborhood went silent. Air conditioners died. Pool pumps stopped. Garage doors froze halfway open. Security alarms started screaming from 3 different houses. The July heat rolled over us like an open oven. Brenda walked out with her chin high, looking proud. People spilled into the street. Mr. Henderson shouted that his wife's oxygen concentrator had shut off. A young mother yelled about a freezer full of breast milk. Somebody else yelled about insulin. Kids cried. Dogs lost their minds. And Brenda raised her clipboard like a preacher with a Bible. "Maybe now," she announced, "people will understand that disorder has consequences." I stepped toward her. "What did you touch?" I initiated a corrective pause. "A what?" "A corrective pause. You shut off power to 3 blocks because of a plastic flamingo. Because of a pattern of disrespect," she snapped. Police arrived first. Then 2 utility trucks rolled in and out stepped Wyatt Lawson, A field supervisor with tired eyes and a face that said humanity had disappointed him before. He looked at the dead panel, then at Brenda, who opened the sectionalizer. Brenda lifted her hand. I did. You're welcome. Wyatt stared at her. Ma'am, that is not a light switch. It was clearly labeled. Yes, he said. For trained personnel. Well, your labeling system should be more inclusive. A few people gasped. I would have laughed if Mr. Henderson had not been sitting on his porch, pale, while his son tried to get a backup battery working. Wyatt's crew checked the cabinet. His expression changed from irritated to worried. He got on the radio. Breaker opened under load. We may have a fault down the west feeder. The younger lineman looked toward the dry wash behind the subdivision, Cooper's Creek. Wyatt nodded. If a conductor is down in that brush and we re-energize blind, we could start a fire. Cooper's Creek was rough mesquite, creek rock, and dry grass. Trucks could not get through, and walking it in that heat would take too long. Wyatt rubbed his face. Where's our helicopter? The lineman checked his phone. Pilot stuck in Amarillo. 2 hours minimum. 2 hours. In that heat, with medical devices down and refrigerators warming, that was when I heard myself say, I can fly it. The street went still. Brenda laughed. You. I ignored her and looked at Wyatt. What aircraft? Bell 206. Observation bird. You licensed. Commercial rotorcraft. Instrument rating. Former line patrol. Brenda's mouth opened, then closed. He fixes junk cars in his driveway. I looked at her. And before that, I flew line patrol after storms. Wyatt studied me. You current? My medical is active, and I've done maintenance hops twice this year. If your company authorizes it and your observer rides with me, I can get eyes on that feeder. He looked toward Mr. Henderson, then back at me. This is not a joyride. I know. Brenda followed us as Wyatt made calls. This is reckless. The HOA has not approved him. I stopped. Brenda, your HOA approves fence stains and mailbox fonts. It does not approve pilots. Somebody laughed. Small, but enough. Her face went red. You're enjoying this. No, I said. I'm angry. There's a difference. When dispatch confirmed the emergency authorization, Brenda looked like someone had switched off her favorite rule. At the county pad. The bell sat shimmering in the heat. For 1 second, my confidence slipped. I had left that world after a crash in 2019 that tore up my shoulder and convinced me I was done proving myself. Wyatt noticed. You good? Yeah, I said. Just remembering. The observer, a lineman named Jamal, climbed in with binoculars and a thermal camera. You really used to do this. Storm work mostly. Then let's go find. Our problem? The startup came back like a song I had not heard in years. Battery, fuel, instruments, rotor building overhead. The machine shivered, then settled. And when we lifted off, the noise in my head disappeared. That is the strange piece of flying low over power lines. There is no room for ego. No room for anger, just hands, feet, wind, distance, wire. We crossed over Oak Ridge Meadows at 300 feet. People looked up from driveways. Brenda stood in Maple Ridge Court, clutching her binder, watching the greasy garage guy rise over her perfect little kingdom. Jamal pointed left. Feeder runs along the wash. I banked gently. Mesquite trees passed below us. The creek bed flashed white and dry. Then Jamal leaned forward. There, pole 17. Hold here. I eased us into a slow orbit. A cottonwood limb had snapped and fallen across the line. One conductor sagged low into dry brush. Every few seconds, a tiny orange spark snapped under the shade. Jamal keyed his radio. Control, we found it. Pole 17, west feeder, vegetation contact, conductor, damaged, fire risk. Do not energize. Repeat. Do not energize. Wyatt's voice came back hard and relieved. Copy. Good catch. Good catch. 2 words, and something in my chest loosened. We marked the coordinates, circled once more, then headed back. Landing near the service yard was tight but clean. Skids kissed grass, collective down, rotor slowing. No drama, no miracle. Just the work. But when I stepped out, people clapped anyway. Not because I was a hero. It's because fear had finally turned into relief. Wyatt grabbed my shoulder. You saved us from lighting up that wash. Officer Brody looked at Brenda. Ma'am, you need to come with me. For what? She demanded. Criminal trespass, interference with utility equipment, reckless endangerment. We'll let the paperwork catch up downtown. She looked around for support, but every curtain was open now. Everyone was watching. Then she pointed at me. He landed a helicopter in the community without written approval. I said, you almost sent a man on oxygen to the hospital, and you're still worried about approval. For the first time since I had known her, Brenda had no answer. Power came back just after sunset. One house at a time. Porch lights blinked on. Refrigerators hummed. Air conditioners roared like angels. The crew worked until dark. Mr. Henderson's son came over later and shook my hand. My dad's okay, he said. He wanted you to know. That was enough. By Monday, the whole neighborhood knew. Somebody posted video of the landing. Somebody else posted Brenda being escorted to the patrol car, still holding that binder. The HOA board held an emergency meeting. Brenda was removed before the coffee cooled. They changed every utility access lock and passed a new rule allowing 1 tasteful lawn ornament per yard. I looked at my flamingo and said, Buddy, you started a revolution. But here is the part that still makes people argue. A week later, I found an envelope taped to my door. Inside was an unsigned complaint to the FAA, accusing me of rotary wing intimidation over a residential zone. No name, eh? But I knew Brenda's writing. Too many commas. Too much confidence. Not enough sense. I should have been mad. Instead, I laughed until I had to sit on the porch step. Because people like Brenda do not disappear when they lose power. They just look for another switch. So I put the flamingo back in the yard, not hidden by the porch this time. Right at the edge of the lawn, perfectly legal, facing Brenda's house across the bend. Then I added a tiny pilot helmet to its head. Petty? Maybe. Worth it? Absolutely. Here is what I learned. Some people confuse control with leadership. They think a title makes them wise, a binder makes them right, and rules give them permission to treat human beings like problems to be corrected. But when life gets real, fake authority melts fast. Real responsibility is not about being loud. It is about stepping up when people underestimate you, even if your hands are shaking, even if it is heavy, even if the person who mocked you is waiting for you to fail. So tell me, was I wrong to fly that helicopter? Even with emergency approval, was Brenda just a strict neighbor who went too far? Or the kind of person who should never be trusted with authority again? Have you ever seen someone abuse one tiny bit of power like they own the world? Drop your story in the comments. Because somewhere out there, another Brenda is measuring somebody's lawn ornament right now. Like this video and subscribe to Ho Drama Neighbor for more if you believe ordinary people can still stand up to bullies and be honest. What would you have done?